Japan manages to compete with its massive neighbors, the much larger countries of Russia and China, because of its huge urban population that boosts its economy. But did you know that most of Japan actually lives in a single belt, a tiny portion of the already miniature island nation? Known for its futuristic technology and courteous people, Japan has a rich history and culture that has developed over the centuries. In terms of its size, Japan is dwarfed by its neighbors. China is 25 times bigger than Japan, while Russia is huge, a whopping 45 times bigger. Despite this, Russia's entire population is only about 16 million more than Japan's. But if one looks at how Japan's population is spread out today, a curious trend is clear. First of all, the majority of Japanese people live in cities. As of 2021, a huge 91.7% of the total population lived in cities. And secondly, the majority of these Japanese cities are clustered together, south of this line, the 36 degrees north latitude. In fact, 80% of Japan's population lives below this line. And astonishingly, a vast majority of these live just within this tiny belt, running along the 36 north latitude, comprising the cities of Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, Osaka, Kobe, and Hiroshima. Now you might be wondering why most Japanese cities lie to the south of this line, and why are most of its people concentrated within this belt? Stick around to find out. Even though Japan is a tiny country made up of a number of islands, it has very different weather conditions across its different regions. Japan has 4 distinct regions. Northern Japan is made up of the island of Hokkaido. Eastern Japan consists of the Chubu region and Kanto Plains. This is where the capital Tokyo can be found. Western Japan is where the Kansai Plains, along with the regions of Chigoku and Shikoku, are found. Southern Japan is made up of the tiny southern island of Okinawa and the southern portion of the Kyushu region. Northern Japan experiences moderately warm summers and extremely cold winters with high levels of snowfall, especially on the western side and in the mountainous regions. Southern Japan has summers that are hot and humid, and winters are moderately cold in most places, except for the side facing the Sea of Japan. Japan lies off the east coast of Russia, separated from Siberia by the Sea of Japan. In the winters, icy cold winds blow in from Siberia towards Japan. As they pass over the Sea of Japan, they pick up moisture from the ocean, which they then deposit as snowfall once they reach Japan and hit the mountains that are centrally located across the country. This is why the parts of the country that face the Sea of Japan along the western coast are the areas that receive more snowfall and have harsh winters, as the harsh winters discourage people from living up north. People would rather live where the weather is nicer, and since these weather conditions have been around for centuries, even in historical times, the Japanese Empire flourished in the south, where conditions were more suitable for agriculture and for people to live. Now, we've already discussed how the central mountains in Japan cause heavy snowfall in the western coastline and to the north, making them difficult areas to develop. But the mountains also cause a great deal of difficulty, as almost 80% of Japan is mountainous, and these regions can't be used for agriculture or for large cities to spread out. This means the capacity for human growth is very limited. Japan has only 2 large plains, the Kanto and Kansai Plains, in the east and the west respectively. But both of these plains also lie south of the line, which is the 36 degrees north latitude. The ancient cities of Nara and Kyoto developed in the Kansai Plain. In the east is the Kanto Plain, where the Tokyo metropolitan area lies, in which 1/3 of Japan's entire population lives. However, quite ironically, this region where so many live is also the most prone to earthquakes, something that Japan suffers from a lot. Being so densely populated, this region has witnessed several disastrous earthquakes The Tokyo-Yokohama earthquake of 1923, measuring 7.9 on the Richter scale alone, caused more than 100,000 casualties. But since there are no other options in terms of space for people to expand, Japan has had to find other solutions in terms of construction. Now, if you have been paying attention until this point, it's quite clear to you that the main reason for most of Japan's cities lying to the south of the line is the climate and geographical factors that affect the country. These have been present for a long time and have shaped the way the country's population has been spread out, even centuries ago. Even in its early days, as the Yamato state in the early 300s, their empire was in the Kinai region of central Japan. Their territory covered the central portion of the southern island, Honshu, but did not extend northwards. Later on, during the Nara period from 710 onwards, the new capital was at Heijokyo, where modern-day Nara is, in southwest Japan, in what is the Kansai region today. The region, apart from being located centrally, also had relatively better protection from cyclones, storm surges, and tsunamis. The Japanese Empire became a centralized power during the Edo period, which began sometime around the start of the 17th century. At this time, the empire ruled from the southeastern city of Edo, which later turned into the city we now call Tokyo. It was an era characterized by peace and stability. However, it was also during this era that the Japanese started moving north. Until this time, the northern island of Hokkaido, as it's known today, was inhabited by indigenous people called the Ainu people. During the Edo period, however, Japanese settlers began to migrate north towards Hokkaido and eventually colonized it by 1869 and made it one with their empire. Thus, the Japanese Empire first spread over the Honshu Island in the south up until the Edo period. This is why most Japanese cities, even today, are located on this island, as these cities were the strongholds of power during the various historical eras of Japan. It was only during the Edo period that they began to move north to colonize these areas, and even then, it never was urbanized to the extent that the South was. Even in present times, Japan, being an island nation consisting largely of mountains, does not have much in terms of natural resources. This makes it dependent on trade. For centuries, Japan has traded through sea routes, and this has led the country's ports to develop in the most convenient locations. Since the west coast of Japan has closed seas with narrow inlets and outlets, building ports on this side has never made much sense. Due to this, the eastern side of Japan, which faces the open Pacific Ocean, is where the majority of Japanese port cities were built and can still be found. In addition to this, since Tokyo and Kanto Plain lie close to the eastern coastline and are the thriving hub of Japanese industrialization, the area also serves as the market from which goods are exported and imported. These areas have developed out of a need to create goods and attracted people from other regions of Japan to shift to them due to the opportunities they provided. The southern cities are connected by bullet trains. Commuting between cities is also a lot easier, which means that more and more people have moved to these areas. However, since it's difficult to construct train tracks over mountains, the northern regions, which are mostly mountainous, are nowhere as well connected. Due to this, these areas continue to grow, while the north empties, as more and more people move south looking for employment and better standards of living. Now, we've seen all the varying reasons which have led to Japan developing the way it has, but what about Japan's future? Japan has a rapidly aging population and is also one of the countries most at risk to the threat of climate change. So how will it compete with its ever-strengthening and much larger neighbors of Russia and China? Well, surprisingly, the northern island of Hokkaido may hold the key. In a world where superpowers are fighting for dominance and strategic positioning, Hokkaido's location gives it importance. It sits at a unique crossroads between the Arctic, Asia, and the Pacific. Its position means it serves as a midway point between the three behemoths of China, Russia, and the United States. and could serve as a crucial point to help one of these nations establish military, economic, and political power. China has recognized its importance for decades and has been trying to strengthen its economic importance in the area for a long time by buying up valuable real estate. Moscow, too, recently stepped up its efforts in the region through its dispute with Japan over the possession of the Kuril Islands that lie close to Hokkaido. The USA has also noticed the actions of its rivals and is increasing its attention towards the area, realizing the value it holds in the struggle for worldwide dominance. But the country with the truest claim over the islands remains the one closest to them, Japan. If Japan chooses to use its technological and military resources towards developing the island and increasing their military presence in the area, they could succeed in holding off their seemingly oversized rivals and gain a vital stronghold to use to compete against these superpowers on an international stage. In a struggle where Japan seems hopelessly outmatched in terms of size, its forgotten northern regions just might be the key to its survival. We hope you enjoyed learning about this subject. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, take care and thanks for watching.